Hey, everybody, welcome to the Shooting Left of Center podcast with me and my usual guest, Gun Websites and Never Enough Ammo. But Never Enough Ammo doesn't show up anymore because now he's a northerner. He moved up to the Great White North, and now I think he's working for the spooks, and he don't want nothing to do with us no more. So now it's just me and G-Webs here, and we're lonely because Never Enough Ammo has decided he's too good to talk to us anymore. But, you know, we'll get by somehow.
I'm also wondering about how many of our secrets he's telling to who.
Oh, yeah, I know, because he knows a lot of shit. That's not good. He knows where some of the bodies is buried, so to speak. But, you know, we'll find some way to soldier on without him since he's not friends with us anymore. He's not nice to us no more. Everybody knows the deal. This is just an open chat. Just ask whatever questions you want to ask, and I will answer them. Before we get started, though, I like to read any orders we've had for merchandise because, you know, that does go to support TYMP, and sometimes, in some cases, the Pets and Vets Fund. Today we got Greg Blasco. He got the Glock shirt, the ones with the Glock on it. And he said, "You ever think maybe you're the problem?" He got that one. Also, John Hanna, he got the kitty cat shirt, the kitty bang bang. You know, like chitty bang bang. It's a play on that, but it's kitty bang bang. And then Daniel Black, he actually ordered the Glockzilla versus King Cobra design. That's one of my favorite designs I've ever done. Let's see. Oops, hold on. That's not it. This is it right here. I almost never sell one of these, so I'm so thrilled when I do because I think this is one of my best designs. Remember the scene from the movie King Kong versus Godzilla? Well, where King Kong is shoving the tree down Godzilla's throat. Well, this is a reenactment of that in front of Mount Fuji, where King Cobra is shoving the tree down Glockzilla's throat. So one of my favorite designs I've done, and no one ever buys it. So that person has good taste. Oops, I just hit the wrong button and did the wrong thing. So Daniel Black has good taste. I don't got to read any new patrons or subscribe star people today. In fact, we lost a few, but we didn't gain any. And remember, if you want to support the Pets and Vets program, you want to become a patron of the channel, you want to become a subscribe star member, whatever, you can go over to TYMP Pistol Project, like it says right here, and you can do everything from there. You can become a patron, a subscribe star member. You can go buy merchandise. I'm not wearing my merch today. I am wearing a hat, but it's my Bigfoot Jesus hat, Believeth in Bigfoot. You can go over to my website page from there and get my Shopify store from there and get merchandise. Or you can sign up to be a beneficiary of TYMP. We read the names last night. I'll be sending an email out tonight to the recipients. The names were Frederick G, Nana S, and then we have a Nina, which I hope is a different person. They're portraying themselves as different people. And a James M. Those are the 4 recipients this month for TY and Triple P. You should be getting an email from me tonight. And just respond to that email with your information, and we'll get things rolling on my end. With that being said, let's go see if there's any questions coming in. We got Avo357 saying, Yanks, which one of these feeds more reliably for EDC, Underwood Extreme Defender or Fort Scott's TUI? It's for my 40-357 SIG. I don't know if I can actually answer that because here's the thing. I haven't had a problem with those. There's only one gun I've ever had a problem with any of those with, and it's Fort Scott. So that's the only problem I've ever had. In my Bond Arms bull pump, the Fort Scott will not feed, period. Just won't. And then when it does feed, it doesn't want to open. It's because of the shape of the bullet, how long the bullet is, and the way it's tapered. Just doesn't fit in that chamber. It just seizes it up every time. But that's the only gun I've ever had any problem with it with. I've never had a problem with Underwood in anything. But the Fort Scott, never had a problem with it in anything either. I got some right here. I just got some 32 ACP. I like Fort Scott ammo. It's one of my favorites. But it does not work in my Bond Arms bullpup. So I guess since the fact that I've had problems with that in one gun and none with the other, I have to give the edge to the Underwood, the Fort Scott, the Underwood, because I've had no problems with that. That doesn't mean that it's really better. It just means my personal experience has shown that I have problems with one gun with the other.
You're talking about that Boberg thing? Did you have a Boberg?
I did not have a Boberg, but I have this one.
Okay. And is it exactly the same? Did you ever, you've looked at a Boberg back in the day?
Yeah, I've shot a Boberg and everything like that.
Do you remember, are these exactly the same, or are they just the same patent?
No, they changed some things internally mostly. There's some things that are changed internally. Like they had some places that were the same kind of steel touching in some places, which is never a good thing because you know how if they sit static for a long time, they kind of weld themselves together. Certain materials do. So they changed some materials and some little designs inside. But otherwise, you know, it's still very, very much a Boberg. But
because I'm wondering if a ammo acts weird in a gun like that, do you look at the ammo first, or do you run that ammo through like 6 guns and then because with that gun, for people who don't know, that's a kind of like you're saying, like a bullpup pistol in a way. It's a pretty weird looking gun, or it's a unique method of feed. So anyway, I'm just wondering if that's a good test bed for anything, you know, for that ammo or that particular brand or whatever.
I'm trying to find around. Okay, here we go. You know, everyone knows what the Underwood ammo looks like. It looks like, you know, it's like this. It kind of looks like a screwdriver almost. You can't see it real well here, but it kind of looks like almost like a screwdriver bit. The Fort Scott is very long and pointed. The tumble upon impact ammo, it's very long and pointed. And because of that, this little point, it's so long because it has that sharp point on it, that when it goes up into the chamber to feed, when it's tilted upwards, you know, when they first come out, how they're tilted upwards, it hooks on that lip at the front of the chamber and won't drop down and feed into the chamber. It just
like a math or geometry or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah, it's because of the geometry of the bullet. And it took me forever to figure out why it wouldn't do that. But I finally figured out, okay, it's catching right on the lip of the front of the chamber. You know, the part that holds the casing, where the casing rides up against at the front of the chamber? The tip of the bullet's catching on that little lip and will not flip down to load in. And it's because it's so long and got that little flat tip on it. But in every other gun I got, it works fine. It's just not in that one. And I'm thinking maybe it's because of the angle it feeds it in at, because, you know, it doesn't, instead of just pushing it out straight into the chamber, it's pulling it backwards and then pushing it up into the chamber, because of how it is different. It's like a bullpup. It doesn't push the rounds out of the magazine. It pulls them backwards out of the magazine, lifts them up and shoves them forward. So it just doesn't work with the Fort Scott. What's that say? Imp Simp says, I'm doing a challenge inspired by your Samurai's Edge. Each time I beat an RE game, I add money to a fund to trick out my Beretta Brigadier. Any tips on beating an RE game? I don't even know what an RE game is. Do you know what an RE game is? Is that a thing I should know what it is? I don't
know. Does that sound like for rifles?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what an RE game is. So I don't play a lot of games. I'm not 12 for one. So I don't really know what that is, to be honest. So I don't think I can give you any tips because I don't know what an RE game is. Mikey D said, do you really think if we won a major victory like Snope or Ocean State that GOA and such would go away? They wouldn't keep trying at 2A crap. Well, they would try some 2A crap because they'd have to do something to try to get their membership back up, but they would dwindle so much. And a lot of those guys, aren't gun guys. The guys that are in charge, like Wayne LaPierre was never a gun guy. He's a big money guy. And when if the big money wasn't there anymore, they'd find something else to do. They'd sell vacuum cleaners or something. The only reason they stay in gun rights is because it's profitable. Let's see here. Do we got any super chats coming in over on the other page here? Does not look like it. Let's see. What is today? The 17th? There's a couple. Hold on. Let me find them.
Oh, since it's this week, this actual next week, I guess, next weekend, whatever you want to say, because it's like a 3-day event, is the NRA, annual meeting. And I forget how many of the people running for the reform board were elected. So I've been saying for a while that there's nobody that's like pro Wayne anymore. Like there's some people that are still there and they want their jobs, but there's nobody that's like, let's go back to the old way of doing it. Let's buy $1,000 suits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
those
they can't
people
openly do that now.
There's just nobody in that position. It's like not even a thing. Like that was a thing for a while, I suppose, and it wasn't like it was a criminal thing. It was because that was the perception. Think of like the movie Wall Street and shit. That was just the way it was done back in the day, and everybody went along with it. And the people that were okay with that are, still the idea of like, we're an organization that has to compete with, I don't know, whatever you want to say, like Mom's Demand or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. All I'm saying is the reform candidates are the ones that actually have support and actually have motivation and are like eager to see change and reform. And the people that are what he would call like the people that don't get elected, the people that are just volunteering for the NRA or getting paid by the NRA or whatever, like for all the different things that the NRA actually does, training, the sports, and then all the different competition stuff, and then all the all the stuff that the 200 and something $1 million of the NRA does. That's the infrastructure of the gun. I don't know what to call it, like in communities, sporting part of it, whatever. All those folks, they're just standing there frustrated that the corporate side of, or whatever you want to call, like the people in Washington fucked up the whole thing. Oh, there's also the whole publishing thing I always forget about. So those
That's
people,
a big portion of their income is the publishing thing.
Well, it's at least it's a chunk of NRA. So anyway, all I'm saying is all those folks are probably, like any government bureaucracy person, either corrupt or not, but they're basically waiting to see what happens when the smoke clears is all I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. So now that Wayne's leaving and all that, and we're getting reform candidates in, it's a matter of, I say, about 3 years, and we'll have all reform candidates in there. And most people that, were long haul, didn't give a shit anyway, are still going to be supporting the NRA. They always did. Some new people will come on board. The NRA will probably slim down to the $200 million a year, which will still dwarf anything else that's out there. And once you got reform people in there who are a diverse group and people that are actually advocates now, I mean, look at who the fuck is in there. It's a fucking all-star list. There's no way the NRA is going to be anywhere near corrupt. All it's going to do is add its, like, I call it an aircraft carrier. It's going to add its resources to everything that's going on out there.
I hope for that yours is right, but a lot of those, right. I know some of those reform candidates personally, and they're all in it for the money.
Who? Rebecca Schmoy?
Well, I'm not going to say
Amanda Suffolk.
No, those she's
I know them. I know them. Like, I know these people. I've hung out with them.
Her. I don't know her, but some of those reform candidates and the people that have pushed them are not all that reforming. They just
don't give a fuck. There's 75 of them. All I'm saying is, no matter what, there's no motivation. There's no like big groundswell of people that want to corrupt NRA. The NRA is slowly going to become uncorrupt. And that's, you can complain about it, or you can say it's not going to happen.
Money's still there, the corruption will still be there.
Well, again, we'll see what happens. But without the lack of transparency, none of that will happen. And they have mandatory transparency.
And so is the government.
Yeah, and it has a bunch of people that are actually interested in it. And we live in a world where they have scrutiny that's actual, like you, people that actually have an independent opinion that can use your own resources to pay attention. We're not 1996 or whatever, where the only information we get is the editorials at the beginning of the magazine each month.
Yeah, I'm one of these people that, Janko's finally back. I don't trust anybody when they're getting into positions of power that pays well. I like things like this to be volunteer basis. I don't want the president paid. I don't want big reimbursement accounts and expense accounts and all this stuff. But if people start doing the right thing, well, then great. And I'll support them 100% as long as I can see results. But until then, I'll just say same old, same old.
Well, whatever. They're the giant thing, so they're always going to get the attention. Like I say, they dwarf anybody. Go look at the numbers. I put them out once a year or so.
Oh, yeah,
you can get all their numbers off of their tax stuff. And, if they're in the 200 to 300, depends on what year. They've been as big as 500 million a year. SHOT Show is the next biggest because they run SHOT Show, and then the next biggest will be that fucking assholes in Colorado who bring in more money than GOA and Second Amendment Foundation put together. And then you get GOA and Second Amendment Foundation coming in around maybe 10 million. So they're not even anywhere fucking near the 200 million that NRA's got. So we've got maybe, 14 million with the Colorado place, another 14 with Second Amendment and Gun Owners America, and then 5 million with FPC. And that's it. That's all the money in the industry side. So
it's not anything like YouTube and Google and all those people. They bitch about, oh, the power gun industry hasn't, they got
Oh,
hardly
please.
any.
I
Yeah.
was going to say compared to what Bloomberg pays in, compared
Yeah.
to what Bloomberg's going to get back from the gun, what was it called? The Safer Communities fucking bipartisan fucking Republican gun control of
I mean, he
2002.
makes a fortune off that.
Yeah, he's going to get all his money back, and that dwarfs the money that's hanging around in the gun owners' rights community or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But no,
They
I'm
get
not supporting. I'm not defending him. I think that I don't disagree with a lot of what you said about the. I see somebody said it the other day, or I heard it that if you make umbrellas, you need it to rain. Like that's another way of saying that. So they, the people that are like you always say, doing the lawsuits for $35, they want to make it look like lawsuits are our only hope and it's our salvation. And that's all we got to look for. But really, it's education and awareness. Stuff like we did with Every Second Matters and the groups that have come out since 2015 that are actually, catering to the diversity of the gun community. And, with 20 happening, all that bullshit and bringing a bunch of new people on board, that's the result of that. The echo of that still has to be seen. The ripple of that, I guess, still has yet to be seen. That's a lot of people who became aware of guns and are no longer scared of guns. They go back to whatever their communities are and, tell people to chill on the guns thing. We've got a lot of potential. I'd like to see the liberal gun control groups that have the ear of the Democrat representatives see some movement in getting them off of guns. Same thing on the Republican side, get them to fucking do something about guns. And
there's
then
money in being anti-gun right now, big money in being anti-gun.
yeah, but again, and then I think the big piece is awareness. And if we had the same kind of awareness we had for drunk driving or we had for I don't know, other campaigns, the social campaigns, to like basically leave guns alone. I like the one that we came up with about a year ago now that ATF, right? Alcohol is 100,000 deaths a year. Tobacco is 500,000 deaths a year. Even if you include suicide, which is 2/3 of guns, it's 40,000. So it's fucking dwarfed by tobacco and it's fucking massively dwarfed by or alcohol, and massively dwarfed by tobacco. And what the fuck? And somehow it's an epidemic of gun violence. It's all fucking manufactured. And once people understand that rationally, fuck them. They'll never be able to use guns against us again. So I think we're really close to that. We're really
and
close.
It would be nice if we were just fighting the anti-gunners, but unfortunately, there's a lot of elements in the pro-gun industry that want nothing more than people to be divided. Like one certain big gun group that begins with an N that isn't the NRA, that their whole money is off of creating anger and division. And
when they want to, I keep saying they make more money than GOA and Second Amendment Foundation put together. Most people don't know them. Their fucking state is getting clobbered. And when you don't want to know about them, they disappear and just pay themselves off with the money they made when they come in and make $14 million in a year and just walk away with it.
No, yes, because that's all they care about is sowing discord and making money.
And now they got a seat on Trump's deal. So everybody, I guess, gives them a fucking pass. And then you got the compromise. Like, we don't compromise except for Colorado. We just sit there and watch fucking Colorado take it in the fucking knees.
Yep. But yeah, there's too much money in being pro and anti-gun. As long as we can keep people divided and fighting over it. I mean, look at Gabby Giffords.
I don't disagree, but I think that there's also not an option on the table. Like there's been the menu is, do you want to be anti or pro? The menu isn't, do you want to be anti-pro or fucking quit arguing about this?
Well, see, the point I'm trying to make though is it isn't about the issue of guns. It's because if most people understood the reality of guns, they wouldn't be able to have the issue, and the people in it aren't in it because they actually feel. The biggest players in the game aren't actually pro-gun or anti-gun. They're pro big money. Like Gabby Giffords.
Pro-riff.
She was worth like $200,000. She gets involved with Bloomberg, starts the Gabby Giffords program. Now she's worth about $30 million. Mm-hmm. And that happens over a couple of years. That just shows you how much money there is in catering to the anti-gun bullshit. And it's the same way with pro-gun bullshit. Look at like Wayne LaPierre, etc. There's too much money in it to make it to where people are doing it for the right reason. Because even people, it's like big government. People who get in it for the right reason, they get there and they're told, well, it's great that you want to be this martyr and do these things, but you're going to fuck up the status quo if you do that. So we're not going to let you. We're going to cut you off at the knees. And if you don't play ball, we'll make sure you're never heard from again, basically.
Another layer to that when you're saying about the money that's in there is I don't think you watch Walk the Talk America or follow them that much, but I usually am working and when they're live, so I'll try to follow their lives whenever I can because they're like Friday mornings. Anyway, that's an organization that's trying to be an intersection between mental health and the mental health practitioners and then firearms community. So they get invited. They've gotten themselves to a place where they get invited to medical seminars, whatever you want to call, like conferences and things like that. And then they'll report back and let us know what's happening and talk about things. But that's something where they'll have conferences fucking, I don't know if they're monthly or every other month, and it'll be something medical related or therapy or mental health, but it's always centered around fucking gun violence. And you know who's got tables and who's paying and getting paid to be at these things is the fucking other side. And we don't got nothing for representation over there, like zero at all. Not only are the doctors not gun people, but if they are, they're scared to talk about it. So they won't, out themselves as gun owners. And we only have that basically one organization. And again, that's where we fall short. We have way too many doctors and other people out there who have something to add to that, or who are in that realm. And we have national level organizations pulling in. I mean, I still say it's not as much as the antis, but still it's fucking tens of millions of dollars. And like you say, it's fucking all about lawsuits. How about let's fucking get something going on with the mental health where they fucking constantly say it's a mental health epidemic or it's a health epidemic. Why don't we have a fucking resistance to that bullshit line?
It's like, you're talking about the doctors. I always love that they bring in these doctors, and of course these doctors, all they see is gunshot wounds, people injured because they work in an emergency room, so they're seeing people that are hurt. So you talk to them about guns, and guns are terrible, guns are this and guns are that. It's been my main goal to stop guns and blah blah blah. But then you ask them something like, well, how many people do you see die on motorcycles? Well, motorcycles are the worst. They kill more people than anything. And, so you've probably seen 5-10 times as many people die from a motorcycle accident as a gunshot, right? And they're like, well, yeah, any medical doctor, any emergency room doctor is going to say, yeah, I've seen 10 times as many people die from, riding a motorcycle. I'm like, well, how much effort did you put into last year into getting rid of motorcycles?
Yeah. Or convertibles, right? Or falling downstairs or jumping into pools.
None of that they spent all their time trying to get rid of guns because that's all they see is the negative of them. But I'm like, the same thing with motorcycles kill more people, but you don't give a shit about that. You don't have a calling to get rid of them. So it's obviously not the number of lives that are lost, because you're also with the guns. You're not looking at the number of lives that are saved. You only see the people that don't make it or the bad guys who get shot even sometimes. With motorcycles, they're not saving any lives. They're just something people have the right to.
There's some chip shit happening and some Captain America shit happening. But aside from that, motorcycles are just a pleasure thing. They're not really
just a privilege, kind of a thing. It's just not a privilege, but a pleasure, like you said. So it just shows you how where their mentality is, because it isn't really about the lives. Because if it was about the lives, their calling would be to get rid of motorcycles, not to be getting rid of guns. The reason their calling is to get rid of guns is because they only see the negative. They never deal with the positive. And someone like Bloomberg shows up at their door and says, I'll give you $10,000 to come speak at a thing this weekend and give your professional opinion on guns.
Yeah, and then we'll get some deal where we have to buy your fucking book that we helped you publish, and then that book gets distributed, and then to distribute it, we get a grant to fucking distribute that book.
Yeah. So it's all the big money game. As I was saying, where are we at on time here? We're getting real quick. Let me get to these chats over here. We only got a couple tithes to fill and stuff over here. Let's see, where was I? Jeffrey Vaughn sent a picture. I'll get to that. Dale Rickety said, all hail Phil. He is not gay. Well, I don't know if he is or he isn't. I don't even know how to tell whether an octopus is male or female, to be honest. I just say he is in like the royal he. I don't know if he's actually male or not. You know how to tell if an octopus is male or female?
You got to put 8 penises in front of them. It's really difficult.
Ugh, I don't want to do that. Was the Oregon Attorney General sympathetic enough to give you your money back they took? No. I didn't even talk to him about that. I don't want to get into that with him. That was Christopher Ramos. No, wait, that was John Mandrick that said that. Christopher Ramos said, 545-39 Punva, did you go to town today? I did go to town today. That's why I'm wearing my going to town shirt. I'm wearing one of my good going to town shirts. This one is a Godzilla going to town shirt. You see Godzilla's right there on the shirt. I don't know what he's doing here. He's doing something. but it's a Godzilla figure.
You think they take a piece of fabric that has that pattern and cut out a shirt, or do they make a shirt and then print that pattern on it?
I bet they printed it on it. Well, no, they couldn't have printed on it after the shirt was made because the stitching's not printed on.
Okay, so it's like that pattern, and then they make a shirt out of it.
Yeah, they printed on the material, then they sew the shirt together. They probably printed on the pieces of material, like and then they sew them together. But it's done pre-sewing it together, obviously, because the stitching is not printed on. So, but yes, I did go to town today, and they could tell because I'm wearing my going to town shirt. Jason Thompson, off Potato Hair, paid his $2 tithe to Phil and said, sent you more emails of hypocrite badge bunnies with blue privilege. The video of that one guy who got hassled while sober made me say, yeah, the guy, they knew he was sober too. Kevin Payton paid his $2 tithe to Phil and said, all hail, Phil. Did you claim the deer, turkey, and squirrels as dependent on your taxes? I wish you could. I would if I could. Feed them all every day. I'd like to be able to claim them. Kevin Payton also chimed in and said, question for G-Webs, what would be a really good AK-47, 15 to 19, or is 2000 model worth it? I guess $2,000 is what he said. It's 1,500 to 1,900 or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't priced an AK in forever, so I don't have any idea where to give you something on a frame of reference on that.
But what's just a good AK, I guess you could get. And is it generally worth paying extra on AKs, or are they pretty good at the beginning level up to the middle level? Or
they run a gambit, I'm sure. I haven't even looked at them in a while because I just haven't, but I'm sure they've gotten better, if anything. And then there's the old ones. I always say that I'm sure this is the same as it has always been because they're not like Ruger or Colt or something that is just making them every year. Instead of saying, what should I get? Find out what is available to you. And with the internet, that's probably a lot of stuff. But just because a website or just because a company made them doesn't mean they have them available. Doesn't mean you can go somewhere and get them. So in reality, asking somebody else is probably better because I haven't even shot them or looked at them in a while. But, and I collected them, right? I wasn't ever buying AKs to do some kind of weird survival thing or whatever. I was just collecting them to dress them up like Barbies, like all the different countries. So mine mostly sat there. So I wasn't paying too much attention to anything but cost back then. But ask somebody who's paying attention now about what is available to you, like what's in your price range and what's available to you. Because that's my answer, is to ask a more specific question. And then the last question, or the other way, if you don't have that option, is to call around to the different gun shops and ask them what's available and what would they pick. And if you call 5 gun shops, if that's an option for you, if you got 10 gun shops, if 3 of them say the same thing, then that's pretty good, rule of thumb that it's probably the brand that doesn't come back, or the brand that, customers buy 2 of or something.
And speaking of AKs or guns that were meant to be to look like AKs, guess what I watched with my kids the other night?
Red Dawn?
The original Red Dawn, yeah.
Oh, nice. They've seen it before, no?
They had never seen the original. They had seen the remake.
Ugh.
So I had to convince them that sucked. The original was really good. And both of them at the end said, that was a lot better than the remake. I'm like, yes, it was a lot better than the remake.
Definitely real. Well, it was made by Amelie, so like an actual filmmaker who was making a film. And he was proving a point. Like that was his passion film too. Mm-hmm. What about a year ago now in San Diego? They had, was it a year ago? I think it was either a year ago. Or two. But San Diego played it on the big screen. That was awesome. So watching it from 1984, it looked so crisp and digital. It was so cool.
There was some place in Oregon not too long ago, one of the few remaining drive-ins was playing it. And I was almost tempted to drive the 2 hours to go watch it at the drive-in.
Yeah, this was a 5-hour drive, and that was really the reason we went. I wanted to see what a gun show is like in San Diego, and unfortunately, it's like what you'd expect a gun show in San Diego. Mm-hmm. But at least it was a gun show. But they did have it was like in a complex with a movie theater place, or what do you call it, like a auditorium that could play movies at the full size like that. It was pretty awesome.
See, because here is a perfect place to go to a drive-in too, because at night it's cool. We don't have bugs. It's not hot. So you can sit with your windows down and your speaker in the window or tune on your radio, whatever they do now. And, last time I went to a drive-in theater was probably 25 years ago, and it was in Mississippi. So it was 105 degrees, and mosquitoes were as big as hawks the mosquitoes were tapping on your window going, roll it down, and so here it's perfect for going to a drive-in. So I would love to have done it, but I didn't have the time.
What's cool about drive-ins too is you can adjust the volume to what you want. Like you don't have to worry about it being too loud or soft all the time.
Mm-hmm. You don't get your ears blown out or have to wonder what's going on. Since you ended the Save the 40s campaign, Glock has discontinued all 40 Smith & Wesson. Have they? That's awful. G-Webs, a couple of years ago, a brief moment in time, Illinois was a blue state with good gun laws. Yeah.
Wait, when?
I guess more than a couple.
If you count like 15 or whatever it was when they became the last state to get concealed carry, I would say I could almost see that because I think there was actually some effort to get rid of the FOID, and it kind of just got that was a massive epic success to see Illinois become CCW, because even the states that hated it historically had it, but Illinois for whatever reason never had it, I don't think. So that was a massive thing. So I think maybe right after that, you could potentially say Illinois was almost going blue. It wasn't, or whatever it is, going pro-gun, but it didn't really get all that way there.
No, they're some of the biggest cases now are Maryland and Illinois.
And then if we count McDonald and Ezel and Ezel 2, 3 cases that took to the Supreme Court to tell Illinois to shut up and then tell Chicago to shut up. But now, again, we're sitting, if you want to talk about Ezel, she took... this after Heller, we had McDonald, and McDonald told Illinois, yeah, you can't, your shit doesn't work. You definitely have to agree to Heller. And then Chicago was like, yeah, well, Illinois does, but we don't. And then Rhonda Ezel takes them to the Supreme Court with Second Amendment Foundation. That was a success for them. Takes them to the Supreme Court and you have to you got to be able to have guns in Chicago too. And then they're like, okay, but not gun shops. And she had to take them back to the Supreme Court. That's 3 Supreme Court cases in Illinois that all slapped the states and the cities to say, yeah, this all applies to all of y'all. However, again, we've got how much money out there. And then I like to throw this out there too. I'm bitching about the national level organizations, mainly because, everybody rags on NRA. And I'm like, no, let's rag on all of them. None of them are fucking golden. Especially the ones that don't do shit, the ones that just collect money. But there's ones, let's say, the concealed carry insurance or whatever you want to call, that type of thing. Some of those brag about having, let's say, 600,000 members, or is it 800,000 members at $30 a month? That's something like $24 million a month. Yeah. So let's talk about how much money is in our industry when we have these organizations with how many members bringing in $30 a month. And they're not expected to do anything for our rights. No. What the fuck are they doing? And
it's like some of these organizations.
Let me finish though. We got $24 million a month flowing into at least one of these organizations. How come we can't have a fucking gun range in Chicago? How come that can't be something that we all fucking champion, behind as a community, so that we get used to championing behind shit as a community? What the fuck? It's so easy. We have a fucking lady that took this Chicago to the Supreme Court and won twice. And then Second Amendment Foundation sits the fuck down, files another $35 lawsuit somewhere else, and just walks along. And all these other organizations just keep pocketing the fucking cash when we got all this potential. Sorry, that's what I was kind of leading to, is that we have potentially things that we could be doing that would push the ball.
Well, and so much of the money I always see gets siphoned off from real causes. It's
where
like the one we were just talking about, all that money that Nagger gets. Where is that money? What's it doing?
They pay themselves to fucking advertise, and now he's on their dude is on the fucking Trump board of something. Yeah. And he's not even a gun dude. He's on the board of fucking something else. He's not even a gun dude.
But what have they ever accomplished?
Nothing. They look at Colorado right now. Look at fucking Colorado right now. And then they filed some suit in Massachusetts right at the right time to do nothing but get a lot of Massachusetts people on board with them.
And what could have been done with all that money they took in? What good stuff could actually have been done? Could we have maybe had a big a push to bring gun safety back into schools, a true gun safety, not the if you see a gun, call an adult, like actual true gun safety classes in school. Like I had when I was a kid, where they disassembled a gun in front of you and showed you the parts and taught you not to be afraid of it, but it's not a toy and blah, blah, blah. Something like that, just something worthwhile instead of just making hateful memes and then being a political figurehead.
If you were playing at a friend's house and you find a 9mm, they're not your friends. You go home right then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go play with friends whose fathers aren't pussies.
Yeah, go play with families with decent calibers.
Well, but there should be like an asterisk. It says it's okay if they have a 9mm if your friend has 2 moms.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because we got to stay hip with the times.
Or if they're in Europe or whatever, like if they're
Europe, yeah,
different cultures.
And I think people in Europe are softer or something.
They're smaller. They're delicate. Yeah. Made out of like porcelain.
Yep. Tipping one up to you and Phil, and just want to say sup everyone from Joseph Sims. If everybody who's done a super chat, which I think I'm all caught up with them right now, but we ain't leaving until I'm done catching up with them, so don't worry. But I think that was the last one, but we got a couple over here. Imp Simp said Resident Evil. RE is Resident Evil. Oh, I can't give you any tips for that because I don't play video games. Tips for tricking out the Brigadier. Well, the biggest tip I can give you about the Brigadier is send it off and have the slide engraved. Have it done with there's a person who does that. He does the replica slides. He files them down smooth, re-engraves them, refinish them, makes them just like a Resident Evil Samurai Edge Beretta. That would be my first thing I would save up for if I was you.
So in these video games, the kids can get the real guns, right? Like the Beretta this or that, or the CZ something or another. So can they then go to their video game, go to their parents and borrow some money, and then upgrade that gun into a Terran Tactical or a Wilson Combat Deluxe Edition? And then
I don't know, that'd be a revenue source for some of them.
That's what I was going to say. And then Wilson could get a cut of that, right? And Terran could get a cut of that. Like, how cool would that be? And have the kids, like, emulating what they see on the YouTubes or whatever their heroes are nowadays, and do the same upgrades, get the base gun and then upgrade.
Yeah, and a lot of those games are all about just charging you little fees here and there anyway. So
feels like it fits right in, right?
Yep. Mike D said, I'm saying the anti-2A side will keep passing stuff. Well, if there's already precedent that prevents it, if the gun control, if the Supreme Court came out and said magazine capacity laws are illegal, automatic weapon bans are illegal, banning a weapon because of this trait, that trait, this trait is illegal, well, then they can't do that. They'd have to think of something else to do. And that doesn't leave them a whole lot of other things to do. So yeah, you would severely damage their ability to be a nuisance, and you would damage the profitability of it. Because if most of the country started saying, well, the Second Amendment's a done deal, it's not. It's not
leave it alone. Leave us alone about that already.
Yeah, it's not up for debate anymore. There wouldn't be as much big money in it. So Bloomberg wouldn't see dollar signs. Gabby Gifford wouldn't see dollar signs. Other politicians who take their money wouldn't see dollar signs every time they write a new anti-gun bill.
And the same motherfuckers who like Wayne wouldn't be like, oh, fuck yeah, dollar signs. It would be somebody who's like, oh, I want to make fucking training better or whatever.
Yep. Auxiliary Wings 70 said, just watched your anti-drug videos from 10 years ago. Very irrelevant. Just watched your anti-drug video from 10 years ago. Still is very relevant.
In a minute, he'll say that was a typo. So he's saying, thank you. It is relevant.
Okay. I wonder why it is liberals love drugs, but not guns. I wonder why it is liberals love drugs, but not guns. It's doubling things up today. It doubled Dale Rickety's too, for some reason.
Oh,
but I don't know. I never have been able to understand that either. I've never understood why people that are pro-gun, they're like, I want the government out of my business. They shouldn't be able to tell me how to live my life. I want the government to write a law that says people can't smoke marijuana because I don't want people being able to smoke marijuana.
I don't think people are as much as they fucking aren't, right? Like they don't care so much about what's being done as long as it ain't what they fucking hate. Yeah. Because I see a lot of that. Like, it doesn't matter what the fucking position is as long as it's against Trump or the other way around. I don't care what it is as long as Trump put his signature of approval on it.
Yep, it's too much of that, and I don't like that. I like people to be able to think for themselves and say, "Wait, do those two positions that I'm holding make sense together?" And
let me ask this kind of the bigger picture question. We often will talk about like how media is changing from back in the olden days, radio and television, and things, we all got more nuanced, more educated, more aware as the world got smaller and blah, blah, blah. Are we going to, as a humanity, understand global communication with the internet? And it's going to be like, we're going to get it down and be able to, or are we always going to be susceptible to being manipulated by it?
That Daniel Black guy also bought my Glockzilla shirt, just plain old Glockzilla. So he's very cool. He obviously likes Godzilla. I think that's it. I think we're caught up on all the chats. Let me just make sure real quick here. Boom, boom, boom. Joseph Sims was the last one over here. Yep, he's still the last one. But I guess that'll do it for us today. I want to say thanks to everybody for showing up. You got anything you need to say before we go?
Yeah. Do you know Sharon Hinchcliffe?
Not personally, no.
But you know of her? She's up in Washington.
Yes, I know of her because she works with SAF and stuff sometimes.
Well, in lots of other organizations. So she had gotten cancer a while back, and she basically wanted to kept it to herself. But she's getting to a point where she's got to do some surgery. So I'd like to put a Give, Send, Go link out there.
Okay.
For folks. And if you can't put money at it, at least help her share it out there. This is somebody that's been doing a lot for Washington and for.
I put it up at the top if anybody wants to click on it up there. So
thanks. And like I said, you can help share that around to people that are out there, help share it around. That's how these crowdfundings really take off with $1, $5 here and there. People don't even know her type of thing.
All right, there we go. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming today. I appreciate it. I hope to see you all again tomorrow. Until then, I'm saying all the time. I'm just not sure. I was trying to read and talk at the same time and they working. But thanks everybody for everything you do for the channel. I appreciate it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again. And remember, send never enough ammo some hate mail. Send him some hate mail saying why he thinks he's too good for us now. Just because he's an hour further ahead, than he used to be, he can still show up. And I will talk to y'all later. Good night.